everybody.
Hey there.
Checking connection. It's actually, I could probably do one here too. It's like so interesting. Like there's so many ways that I can actually do it. You know. Hi everybody. Oh look, we have a nice screen. See, I cleaned my screen. All right, so today everyone, those that of you are tuning in, I'm sure at least a couple of you will, but today is kind of going a little bit further in depth than what I did last week when I talked about kind of the realtor standpoint on utilizing VA loans and my personal experience, some kind of personal tips that I've done myself. But I had to get the expert in here for the VA loan. And so this is TJ Roberts. If you see it on the part, my introduction or my bio part. But kind of cool. TJ is going to talk a little bit about some of her experiences, but then also kind of bust some myths and give some facts really about the VA loan, because not even like it's a VA loan, but it's a complete benefit to those that utilize it. So I really do think that those that tune in today are really going to get some valuable insight, and I'm hoping that we're going to give them some information that they've never heard before to cause them to possibly call you, call me, call somebody, and say, I want to use my VA benefit in this 2020 housing market. So give me a second. Let me make sure, and then we're going to get started. Probably about 1 minute. About 1 minute. But 9:50, I have my timer. 9:15. That's it. Why did I mess that one up? Hold on. But yeah, TJ, can you see this?
I can.
Okay, great.
I can see it when it's bigger a lot better, though.
Yeah, right.
It's from underwriting all those loans, right?
I know.
My eyesight's going.
I know, it's just too many. You gotta stop underwriting so many. All right. Let's see. Hi, look, Scotty's up there. Hi, husband.
Hey, Scotty.
Is it Proverbs? Okay. All right. So I think we're ready. Joel, let's do it. Cheers.
Do it.
You get to hear the music. Hi, Ronnie. Practical. All right. So we're back again. I'm super excited because this time I get to have a person that I've been working with for a long time in the industry, and she gets to, talk a little bit about what she's experienced and kind of busting some myths and some facts with regards to the VA benefit. Her name is TJ Roberts. TJ, say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great day.
And I'm super excited because again, this today it piggybacks off of last week. And last week I did a little bit more, with regards to kind of the realtor, some of my tips. Some of the things that I think that are important when you do process and go through the VA loan, process really with home ownership, because it's not easy to navigate. It just isn't. And if you don't have the teammates that are by you that understand what you're going through or how to navigate it, it can lead to a lot more money spent in some ways. It can lead to a little bit more heartache and headache in areas that it really doesn't need to, especially if you know what to do, at the onset versus finding out later on that decision that you made or something that you had said or did or whatever report has been turned in, it was wrong. So, tune in, because I'm telling you, whether you are or whether somebody else that you know is a person that's interested in going to the 2020 year of home ownership, utilizing their VA benefits. I'm telling you, the information that you're going to hear today is definitely something that will get them started. You already know that I'm really one for activation, number one, education, number two, and then empowerment. Don't just hear the knowledge and the information and sit on it, because there's just so many facets and pathways to home ownership that we're gonna bust some myths today.
And we're here to serve.
Oh, come on. Yeah, absolutely. I've told people, like, even from the time before, like, I missed my opportunity to go into the military. My whole family's military, my mom, my dad, everyone. My brothers specifically, and it was my brother, Chris, that really specifically had me, go in and do certification for military relocation professional, MRP, and military residential specialist. Because other than that, I was like, well, why? But it's my service that I do, the workshops that we've done, before, that have been a great benefit to the people that have gone through the workshops, and what we're going to talk about too, just coming from we're going to have some stories as well of people that said, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm going to do it. And even in crazy markets, we're able to get home ownership. So that being said, before we get into that part, hey, I kind of like starting off with a little bit of activation. And what better way is through the Word of God. So Proverbs 24:27 is really short, simple, straight to the point. However, I think it goes along with what the premise of faith in home buying is, and that's preparing yourself, getting yourself prepared in order for home ownership. So whether it's a VA loan, whether it's an FHO, which we'll talk about too in future broadcasts, but whether it's going to or listening to a podcast, hey? Or whether it's going to a seminar, whether it's going to a workshop, whatever it may be, but you're preparing yourself for the next steps in your life in order to build your home, right? So the Word of God says this. Proverbs 24:27, this is the Passion Translation. It says, go ahead, build your career, and give yourself to your work. But if you put me first, you'll see your family built up. And that's kind of God kind of speaking that, yes, do your career. Do the things that you're doing. I mean, I would say those even going into the military, doing what they do, whether they serve 3 years, 4 years, 20 years, doesn't matter. But a lot of times, I say probably about 80-something% of those that I come in contact with that have served in the military, they've done these things and went through and came back with PTSD. There's a lot of things that they put their body through, their mind through, their spirit through. And in the end, there's benefits such as a VA loan that they're able to capitalize on to help build their family, to help with the people, their children, not only their children, but their spouses. If something happened, to them, their spouses get to benefit. We'll talk a little bit about that too. But it's just, with anything, being able to take care of the steps that you need to in order to secure that, down the line that my family has actually something, like my family can utilize the VA benefits. They can go on to the base. They can have housing. They can have not only education as well, but a good education at that. My mom, being from, again, military background, a lot of her education and things that she done, a lot of it was paid for because my grandfather in his military service, I believe he retired from the military, but still stayed in the military as a barber on the military base. And so did my grandmother, too. So deep roots, in the military. My uncle, he, at a young age, he actually retired from the military, but set himself up, from his pension and everything else, set himself up for success. Loan products that are out there. And that's why I'm super excited, especially in 2020, which TJ will talk about in a little bit, what strides that they've made and what updates that are a part of the VA benefit. And that's even more so where I'm pumped up in 2020. Like, if you haven't used it, or it's been a while since you even know, even if you haven't even saw your certificate of eligibility, you have no clue. I'm telling you, you have people around that can actually check that stuff for you. And it doesn't take a long time. They can check it. They can let you know whether or not you can go forward or not, or how much benefit that you have. So just know, you got people on your side. I'm one of them, and hopefully this particular broadcast, you'll be able to get some great knowledge and information. Super excited coming up. We got TJ Roberts talking a little bit more about why she's a VA specialist, number one. And number two, why it's important to have a VA specialist on your side, not just anybody dealing with you on your team, not just anybody, but why it's so important to have a VA specialist so that they can advocate for you, number one, and number two, they can educate you, and not only you, even the other side on the process, and especially if they've had years of experience like TJ has, they're completely able to set the other side at ease. So stay tuned. This is Tamika Ellsworth, and we're equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Yay! That's the first part.
Woohoo!
All right, so coming back, I'm going to do a little bit of a call to action, and at some point too, we're going to talk about, just make sure have your number, how they can contact you. Probably at the end of the segment, probably at the beginning, number one, and then at the end, and we just kind of keep that kind of going through, maybe for this first one and then the last one that we do. All right,
good.
Hi, buddy. What's up over there? Remember, low battery, but it should be plugged in. Hold on. Let's hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see.
Maybe it's listen back. So you may actually want to say that their service, by using the VA benefit, it gives them a new foundation to rebuild.
Yes.
When they come back, because that's really what it's about.
Exactly. Hey, what's up, Lisa?
Try the back there.
Because it may be...
That one maybe. It's off the screen. No, it says full battery on the bottom, doesn't it?
No, it just says finish, but it should work. I don't know why it wouldn't be working. We'll see what happens.
All right.
We'll see what happens. It's still live.
Woohoo.
All right. Hello. Hi, Shannon. But yeah, so no, we'll touch on that. And remember, this one pretty much is just kind of the setup, understanding VA specialist, what's important with it, and then
you want to know a little bit about the stats and the veterans in this piece. Right?
Oh yeah,
That's
why not? Yeah, I think that's a good way so people can know. So Joel, what's the time frame on this one? 10:50, 10:51. Excuse me. Not too shabby.
Not bad, not bad.
All right, here we go. Right. Remember, if you have any questions, write them. All right. So we're back again. So TJ Roberts.
That's me.
Oh my goodness, I'm super excited that you were able to join me. This is TJ Roberts from PRMG, and we've done quite a bit of deals together, and I really consider her a trusted ally when it comes to working with VA benefits and with my clients. She has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information, years in the industry, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. So TJ.
So hello there, I am TJ Roberts, and I am with PRMG. My license number, which I have to give, 1457455. I am a mortgage loan officer, and I also am a certified military specialist. I've been doing loans just for a couple of days, about 34 years, and during that time, I've also been a corporate trainer for VA and FHA loans. So I've taken it from the underwriting side down to the consumer side. So I like to take some of the guesswork out, and I really feel empowered to help our servicemen and women get into a home. It's just very exciting for me.
Exactly. You had mentioned something off the top, not just being able to kind of utilize it too, but as something when they come back.
So by getting that VA benefit
right.
of home ownership, we don't think of it like a loan. We think of it as a benefit that they have. It's to be able to provide the opportunity for them to build a foundation.
Right.
to start over because they've been abroad, they've been serving us, and now they can come home and build some foundation.
Exactly, and it's kind of interesting, it kind of ties into a little bit what we talked about before at the top part as far as activation, when even the biblical sense, right? Prepare your work outside, and this is the other amplified version of that. Prepare your work outside and get it ready for yourself in the field. Afterward, build your house and establish a home, right? Doing what the groundwork is, whatever the groundwork may be, and this is kind of one of those things that you can capitalize on. So, with the VA,
yes,
okay. Why is it so important to have a VA specialist? Why can't any lender sit here and do a VA loan?
Well, it's really interesting. There are a lot of VA lenders out there that are phenomenal, who really know the VA home loan benefit. It is a benefit, not a loan program, and so it's thought of a little bit differently. Oftentimes, if they're not knowledgeable, they will get hooked into some of the kinkier things of the process itself. It's not more difficult. It's just more education that you need to have.
Right.
The benefit was designed so that the veteran will not be stuck in a property that he can't afford to maintain.
Right.
And so it's really for the veteran's benefit that some of these guidelines are online for him. So that's one of the changes. Having a military specialist on your team, you're able to interpret different types of income. You're able to interpret if there's fee waivers due to the fact that they may have a disability. You're able to determine if there's an issue with the property that may not meet health and safety. So you need to really be a specialist and know the ins and outs of things that are a little bit different because it's a government program.
Exactly. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, especially some myths and facts, so stay tuned for that, everybody. But we'll talk about that too because there are a lot of myths, but there's a lot of facts that back up why this particular loan does what it does. If you've heard certain things or, hey, it's a really hard loan. No, it's not. There's reasons why, and there's backing to those reasons. And when we get into those stories and we talk about those a little bit later on, you'll see as a listener that why this loan is one of the best loans that you can utilize, especially in a military component.
Well, and it's underutilized. That's one of the things that is frustrating for me. Is based on our last census, we had over 2 million veterans in California.
Right.
Of those 2 million, only 13% nationwide.
Wow, 13%.
13% are actually using their VA home loan benefit.
This is why.
Small.
This is why. Share this, please.
It really
Let somebody
is
know.
their benefit.
Yes.
And it's a dramatically improved program, especially recently, to be able to offer more availability of getting the home that they desire. And as well as we have about 1.7 million in California who have not used their benefit.
Wow, 1.7 million, huh?
1.7 million veterans that have not used their benefit. And we want to help these veterans get homes.
Right.
And that's our goal.
Right, and it's even better now in order to actually have that happen because before, and we'll talk about that too, there was a little bit of limitation on some things that they were able to do, but 2020 has blown the lid off of a lot of that. We'll talk about that later, because stay tuned. But do you have any more stats?
Well, I do have some stats. So one of the things that people don't often think of is veterans tend to make about $10,000 more a year just based on the fact of their service before. They are in a lot of public sectors, and so they are in areas that we need to be able to provide housing for them so that they can serve again for us. So that's another one of the statistics. A large majority of our veterans are women, and a lot of times those women aren't approached and asked as a veteran, and their service matters. So we want to make sure that they know that we're here for them.
You know what? Just in that very alone, I tell you this. I'm when someone does contact me, I made the mistake once. I will never make it again. And this is years ago, but I will never make the mistake of thinking that it's just the male, because there are a lot of women that the men have actually stayed back, and the women have went out and actually did the service. So I'm very, very sensitive when it comes to that, because that's another thing too. Even as a realtor, we have preconceived notions of what we think or who fits a certain criteria, but that's really important too. The respect due, whether it's a male or female, your lender as well, knowing that, hey, anyone can come into a male or female, transgender, it doesn't matter, that is an actual vet. So
absolutely,
that's also
they've done
important
their
too.
service, so
100%.
They deserve their benefit and they need to be served. 100%.
Yeah. You got any more stats for us?
I got some stats for you. So we've got the biggest states that happen to have the most veterans, we've got 2 million in California,
Okay.
1.6 million in Texas, which we've had a couple
Yep.
of transplants from Texas,
Yep.
and about 1.6 million in Florida. So those
Wow.
are the three biggest
The three
concentrations
biggest.
in the states.
Right, and why would that be?
Well, let's see, there were some military bases in that area.
Just in case someone asks.
They may have relocated to that area.
Yeah.
But your benefit is for nationwide.
That's right.
And so currently we have a veteran who bought here and then got moved to Hawaii,
Mhm.
but he still has his veteran benefit. He was
Right.
able to get his home here, and that's okay. You're even able to refinance it if you're not living in it. You still have that benefit to take advantage of lower rates. So.
Exactly, and we'll talk about that too, because you can't just use it just once. You don't have to just use it once. You can use it multiple times. Of course, there's parameters to that, but again, that's why we have the VA specialist.
That's right.
To talk about that and to talk about the other ways in which you can do. So unless you have any more
I
stats.
have one more stat for you,
Yep.
just to give you some nail down.
Yep.
So 20.2 million are male and 1.6 million are female.
Wow.
So we do have a chunk of female veterans
Wow.
that, again, are not using their benefit, and we want to make sure that they're aware that they can. And I think that's about it with all of them. We have 21.8 million veterans in the United States.
I think that's amazing. Honestly, whoever's listening to this, understand this is not just for you, and maybe, okay, it doesn't apply to you, and that's fine. But if you know somebody, it doesn't matter how old, how young that they are, please let them know that you have people advocating for them, and that if they think that home ownership is not an opportunity or not, whether they're a person of faith or not, it really does not matter, but you're equipping other people, right?
Right.
Like, this is something that you can utilize, and why not try it? Because we're going to talk about a little bit about in our next segment some of the parameters on what it takes in order to qualify for a VA loan, and you'd be surprised.
Be very surprised.
It's not as stringent, it's not as extravagant as you may think, and guess what? It doesn't cost you anything.
That's
at
true.
all. It doesn't, you
It
know. So when we come, back and just before even ending this this segment. Can you talk a little bit about, how do you start? How what's the best way in order to try to contact or find someone who is or happens to be a VA specialist?
Well, the best ways to find out is, of course, you want to Google and do all of your research that you can. But you do want to find out if they are still a certified military specialist. The reason why is if you are currently serving, there's different ways that income is calculated. There's different benefits that you get, and they're going to know how to give you the best resource. Reach out to someone like me. I'm TJ Roberts, and you can give me a call.
What's that number?
408-802-8522. Or you
Okay.
can email me at tjroberts@prmg.net,
Mhm.
and I'm happy to get you on the path to find out what benefits that you do have. And so we start with that certificate of eligibility. Are you eligible for benefits? It's very rare that you're not. We're going to go through some credit criteria to make sure that you're able to do that. And we're going to walk you along the path and show you what costs and benefits are of being a homeowner and make sure it's right for you right now.
Right, exactly. And so we're going to go more deep diving into the VA loan and kind of what it is, and even some certain things that we know about as far as the Blue Water Navy veterans and different service members Relief Act. We're going to talk a little bit about those things and what they mean to you. So just in case you've heard them, we're going to let you know what it is and kind of give you on the right path to know these are the things that you can do. And even I'm going to touch again on different things for those that have disability. I touched on it last week, but I'm going to touch on it again just to make sure, because I think it's just that there's grants and free money that you can utilize in order to make sure that your home is up to standards and that you can actually live in it, not buy it, but live in it comfortably. So stay tuned. We're coming back to Tamika Ellsworth, Faith in Home Buying, equipping people of faith for the home buying process.
Woohoo!
Yay!
So I didn't talk about the break that they get when they're in active service.
Oh, we'll talk about that now.
I do have it available if you want
Yeah.
to talk about it.
So I think, no, because that's important.
On
because
the credit as well.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
right now we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and I'm going to let you go through. It's going to be about, Joel, it's about, this one is about 9:45. Yeah. And then we have one more after that's about 10 minutes. So in this particular one, the myths ones again, that's going to wait. Last one, this whole one is going to be about just like that loan part. Give
okay,
them.
So do you want some examples in this
We
one?
can do
examples.
We can do a couple of examples, but leave our whatever one that just kind of myth or whatever. We'll leave that for the next one because we have another 10-minute
The
segment
last
after one.
segment.
So this particular one, I think it's really good. Let's get into the depth of what the VA loan is, what it's intended for, but then we also can talk about and I know people. Oh, yeah, maybe we could do that in the next one. Blue Water Navy veterans. If you heard of that?
I have heard of it,
Yeah.
but we just look at it as we now no longer have a cap.
Exactly, and that's going to be.
It's really.
We'll
it
do that at
sounds
the
very
end.
complicated,
I know it
but
does.
really what it says.
So we'll do that at the very end. And you know what? I was looking at the VA website. Do they actually have something with Native American direct loan? Like if you're a Navy
if you're
vet?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very hard to qualify as a Native American
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. But-
Unfortunately, yes, it's not something we see a lot of, although
Yeah.
they do see them in Arizona, and they do see them in some of,
Well, I think that's
Wyoming.
great. I mean, look, you're able to do loans everywhere
That's
except
New York.
New York. So well, I think this is what something like that. And I was looking at it like, oh wow, like even so, most people probably don't even go for it because they have no clue because it's so hard to qualify. But I think that would be worth talking about maybe at the end segment.
Okay.
I might bring it up if you don't. Yeah. But I do want to talk about the SAH and SHA. A lot of people don't know that you can actually get grants to modify your home.
For handicap accessibility.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Most people. I'm like, yeah, you can.
You can, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, what are we, Joel, on this one?
9:45.
9:45. That's right. I did say that. 9:45. Hey, what's up, Vicky? I think that's Shannon on there. Hi. Let people know who are vets to call me. 408-561-7922. Right. All right, we're gonna deep dive now into just some really good information when it comes to VA. After this segment, then we're gonna talk about some facts and some myths, which are important too. So whether it's your grandpa that said, nah, I don't want to do it because of, or your brother says, nah, I don't want to have to deal with the VA because of. No, we're gonna say no. You can deal with it because of, right? All right, so go ahead, Joel. Let's go ahead with the next segment. If you have any questions, write them. All right. So we're back again. I've been remiss throughout my time on the radio that I don't even give my number. So you know what? This is from a listener that says, we've been waiting for you to give your number because we have questions for you, comments and stuff. And I said, you know what? Yeah, let me give my number out. So those of you that have your pen and paper ready, the number is 408-561-7922. Again, that's 408-561-7922. And if you have any questions with regards to what we're talking about today, or if I can connect you with TJ Roberts, we'll give her information again at the end. But just know that we're here for
benefits. Rates are so much lower than conventional
Big time.
Fannie Freddie rates. Oftentimes they haven't taken advantage of their VA benefit because they didn't have a big enough loan.
Right.
Now that isn't a problem. They can take that money out and have that money for retirement, have that money for future investment, have it to buy another property. They can take money out of their property up to 90%, and that is allowed.
Right. I think that's great. So what else do you have for us?
What else do I have for you? So I did talk to you about the interest rate reduction, and VA puts the caveat of that you just can't refinance without the benefit being to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
The veteran has to have a benefit. So they make sure that if you're lowering their rate, you must lower their rate half a point. And you must keep that loan for a minimum of 181 days before you can do it, and then they're eligible for this benefit. That streamlined benefit doesn't require another appraisal. It doesn't require to have your income or ratios run. It doesn't require any of those qualification pieces that you may have had to have when you originally bought. It's really a benefit of just a lower rate.
Right, that's great.
Yeah,
And
so that's definitely what I'm.
Rates are already low too.
Oh my goodness, rates are
And they're
extremely
extremely low, right.
They allow you to have higher debt to income ratios.
That's good.
Meaning that when you're buying your home, especially here in California, we know how expensive it is, you can actually have some other debt, and you can go as high as a 55 debt to
Wow.
income ratio. So what does that mean to most people? That means if you're making $10,000 a month gross, you can have $5,500 a month going out to pay all your bills, and you will still qualify for this loan. Other programs would, on the same scenario, would be maybe $10,000 in income and $4,300 a month going
Right.
out on all your bills. So it does give you the availability to have more money. They do check to make sure you have enough reserves. We want to make sure that you're going to be able to make your payments. We don't want to put somebody in a position to fail.
Right,
So we look at some other underwriting criteria that will help with that.
right.
Credit scores. Oftentimes
Big
our
time.
veterans will come back and maybe they'll have medical collections, or maybe they didn't know that they could freeze their credit
Yeah.
where they were gone, or maybe they suffered a repossession, those sorts of things. There are ways to clear that up, and that's another VA benefit that
It's a
we can
benefit,
talk
y'all.
about. We can talk about as well. But they also can have scores down to 580, and I've actually seen some at 560 with a manual underwrite on them for risk evaluation. So it is definitely something that doesn't have to have a 580 score, but it can. Most of mine are in the 7s, 720, 740, 780. These are not irresponsible people with their
Right.
credit.
Exactly.
But sometimes the medical collections sometimes will come up and catch them, and that's why their credit score is lower.
Exactly.
The biggest thing on the process itself, I would say, is the property needs to meet all health and safety requirements. And that's an education piece. People don't use their VA benefit because they're not told that it's you need to be educated. They think it's difficult. It's
Yep.
just difficult.
Yeah.
It's not difficult.
The home has to be completely pristine.
And that is not true. And it really just has to meet health and safety standards, and that's really for the benefit of the veteran, to make sure that the veteran who's putting no money down doesn't all of a sudden have a septic system fail.
Right.
All of a sudden falls off a landing, that they've stepped through a route, they end up getting injured. They want to make sure that they're in a safe environment.
Exactly, because the loan is federally backed. So,
Absolutely.
So there, and what does that mean, TJ?
So that means that whoever the loan servicer is, if the loan defaults, that the VA pays in to cure that default.
Right.
So the VA is partially borrowing, they're partially on the hook for that debt. So, and that's why having it insured makes it a higher quality loan to service, and they stay on the books longer, and they're a lot better for the lender side. We do want to make sure on the property side doesn't have any active infestation or mold or anything that would be a health issue. But the benefits are real for the veteran, and as for the lender too. They're very protected by the loan itself.
Exactly.
So you want to talk about funding fee, or you want to
Sure.
go into that a little later?
We can talk
All right.
about that.
So that's one of those things that is a barrier to people doing the loans, and I want to make sure that they're aware of what that funding fee is. Now, if you are a veteran and you receive any form of disability, for instance, 3% hearing loss, and they send you a stipend of, $240 a year, whatever it is, by having that hearing loss, because it was done during service, you do not have a funding fee. And I've worked with several borrowers who paid funding fees every time they used theirs, and I fought for them to get it removed.
Good.
And so it's important to know your rights, and getting that fee removed was really important. So let me go over the lowdown of it. So what is it? Yes, you can put zero down. And when you put zero down up to, let's just say $2 million, because it seems like our prices are up there, you have for the first time you use it, you have a 2.3% funding fee.
Okay.
That is added to your loan amount. You're not paying 2.3% out of pocket, it's just added to your loan. That money is what is the fund that pays for these loans that go in default. It pays for other military services. So again, it's giving back in
It's
service.
giving back. Okay.
Exactly. If you've used your VA once and you buy another house and you're using it again after you've paid off that one, it has a subsequent use of 3.6. So it's, yes, you get the first one discounted, the second one costs a little more, but the benefits are still there. If you put a little bit more money down, 5 to 9%, it's 1.65.
Wow.
First time or second time. So, and then on the refinance, you have a 2.3 and 3.6 matches the same as the upfront one. So,
Exactly.
but it's not, even though you're paying the fee and it's wrapped into your loan, it's giving back to the service. So you give it that way.
And no, I think that's great. And I think most people don't know that coming into it. They just see service fee and it's not explained to them that, wait a minute, no, it's not just to the lender. No, this is so others like yourself can continue on and doing what we're doing, and you're passing it. Pretty much, you're paying it forward.
You're paying it forward,
exactly,
absolutely.
in a lot of ways. All right, so when we come back, we're going to talk about some myths and some facts.
Ooh.
We're going to bust some stuff in a little bit. But TJ, thank you very much. And again, how can people reach you?
You can reach me by email at tjroberts@prmg.net or 408-802-8522.
Excellent. Well, stay tuned. We're coming back. All right. Good job, TJ.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Deep enough for you?
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to dive a little deeper. Like, I need to use this cord. I don't know why it's not necessarily working. Oh. Hi, Nick. Hi, Dee. Hello. Hopefully you guys know some VA people. I got to change this. I don't know why it's not working, but I'm praying that it doesn't cut off on me. We'll see. What's that, Nick? What's that, Dee? We'll see how that works.
Hopefully that'll keep some juice.
And you know,
right?
me and technology recently have just...
I've had those days myself.
Hi, everybody. So remember, if you have any questions, please put the questions up. We will answer them. If not on the air, we will definitely get to them. I'll put some information with the VA loan actually on the website, or not even the website, on my Facebook page as well.
So in this section, you want to talk about some people that we've served with.
Yep, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about some people that we served, and then again, kind of going with the facts versus myths. You know,
Okay.
what people think, but what's actually the truth,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's a pretty important part, because I mean, it is true, not everyone can, but why can't they? Most people kind of, don't know, or they think that if I was dishonorably charged, oh, there's no way I can get that benefit. But what does it say on your certificate of eligibility?
Right,
Right.
right.
You might be surprised on what it says. So I think that's probably why a lot of people don't do it, because all depending on how they've been discharged.
Or maybe they think that they were ranked high enough
Yeah,
to have the benefit.
exactly.
So
And
that's
so I
definitely
think
probably true.
100%. I think talking about that, even just those that are on reserves, they don't know that. Some probably don't have a clue that, hey, I have these benefits too. Hey, you do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, talking about that, we'll talk about the reserves, those that are kind of active, even in reserves, and even just
Not rank.
Not exactly.
How long were you in, and what was your rank, and find out.
And
Find
you'd be
out if you have the
surprised.
benefit.
You'd be surprised.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so Joel, how is this 10:50? 10:48. Excuse me. 10:48.
You must have gone over 3 seconds.
I went over 2-3 seconds. Oh my goodness. All right, here we go again. Hi, everybody. Yes. All right, go ahead. You just left the music. Yes, it is. All right, so back again, TJ Roberts with PRMG, the VA loan specialist, and actually my good friend, and even in business, we've done a lot together, and it's really a treat to have her here to take some time out to talk to everyone about the VA loan, and really specifically, from a VA loan specialist. So right now we're going to get into talking about some facts and some myths that you yourself may think, or people around you may think, but what is the reality? So first and foremost, we had talked about it during the break, but who can actually utilize this particular loan? And if you're dishonorably discharged, does that automatically disqualify you?
And it may not automatically disqualify you, because you may have served during the period of time where, even though at the end of service, doesn't lessen the fact that you have the benefit. So when in doubt, find out.
Mm-hmm.
This is free money for you. This is your benefit. And a lot of times it's the people who, right out of high school, my life was a little screwed up, I jumped into the military, and I was in the military for 4 or 6 years, and now they're off to something else, and they don't even think about the fact that they have this military benefit.
Right.
Because their rank was low. They didn't move up the chain. They weren't a military lifer. However, they did serve, and that service is what we're trying to reward by giving them their benefit. So no matter what your rank was, and no matter how your discharge went, please find out if this benefit is available to you, because it's very important. One of the myths that often comes up is, on my side, is think, oh, a VA buyer, they're not qualified. That's the only way they could get a home, and that's definitely a myth. I'd love to give you an example of a high-ranking Apple executive who had already purchased a home in Texas when they lived there. When he transferred out to come work for Apple, he was, buying out here. Then at the time, the market was hot, and he was using his VA benefit to do a $1.3 million purchase. And he had 20% down. He had plenty of money. He had plenty of stock that he didn't want to liquidate. He was very strong, but when it all came down to it, doing his VA benefit, he came in with less cash. His payment was dramatically lower. His qualification was much easier, and he had more reserves.
Right.
So he was in a better financial position by using that VA benefit, almost to the tune of 1% in interest rate.
Right.
Even if he would have put that 20% down, he would have had those capital gains from liquidating stock. So it isn't just barely surviving people who would use their VA benefit.
Right.
By the same token, I have a wonderful family that I helped buy in Morgan Hill, and he works 2 jobs and she works 2 jobs, and they are just hard-working family. They had lost a property during the downturn, and they were now using their VA benefit to get a home for their family. And hardworking, and just everything to be able to get them a home was just made me proud, made me empowered. That's why I love working with Tamika, because her passion for the veterans, it's so exciting for me. So those are just 2 examples that you'd think, okay, this guy's a waiter and he works at a pet store. He's not going to be able to own a home here. Yes, he can. And knowing that, hopefully will empower some of you to know that you can own a home and you can use that benefit to do so.
Exactly. No, I love stories. See, there's one thing, you could talk about it. Okay, that's great. But have you ever executed it? Are there any, stories or testimonies, we like to call them, that show that, hey, homeownership is, I shared a couple of them last episode, that absolutely, it's very possible, even when you don't think, even when everyone around you is saying, oh, it's a competitive market, there's no way that someone would accept a VA offer over a cash. You haven't met Tamika Ellsworth.
That's right.
And really what it is, it's the advocacy that you have behind it, right, TJ? Like the people, when we submit an offer, it's not just to submit an offer and then pray that it just happens, cross your fingers, right?
Well, there's definitely prayer involved.
There is. There is, right? However, it's taking the necessary steps as the professionals on it to make sure the people on the other end know that, look, even if you have not experienced a VA loan in a long time, or we'll talk about it in a second, or the myths that you think that surround it, you think it's still going on, we're here to educate you too.
Absolutely.
Let you know that no, it doesn't take that long. No, you don't have to do that. Don't worry about the fact that you have a termite report that has something that's on it. Don't worry about it. We have professionals and those that are, inspectors that understand, hey, if we're doing a VA loan, there's certain things that you don't call out, you don't say, not to mess with the integrity of the home or the report. No. But there's certain things that you just don't do because you know that it's a VA loan. And that's having everyone on your team on the same page, making sure that we can have a successful transaction, right? So that being said, on the loan part, what are some things that you've seen that are myths that we can kind of bust right now with the amount of time that we have left?
Well, it's kind of interesting because one of the things that you do see is, even though there are multiple lenders who do VA, oftentimes I'm kind of the VA save the day person.
Yes, you are.
And so the borrower went to their own person who said they knew VA, and they get down the line, and for instance, the wife wasn't borrowing.
Yes.
And the wife didn't have the CAFERs to match.
Yeah.
Now, if you on a VA loan, if you have a husband and wife, You must hit the wife's debt, although you don't need to use her income, you don't have to credit qualify. You have to charge with the debt because it's a joint debt, we're a community property state. However, because she had some issues on her credit, we don't care. She's not borrowing, she's not part of the assessment. She had some issues on her credit that made her not be able to qualify for a CAVERS. That loan blew up. And it couldn't close with that lender because the lender didn't go right to the VA guidelines and said, this is not impacting our veteran. This is not impacting our benefit. But it could have not gone well. So those are the kind of things, having a specialist in there to talk to your agents on the other side, to be able to communicate that this loan will close on time, this loan will close smoothly, everything, all of my VA appraisals have come in high in the last year and a half.
Right.
So it's not the appraisal piece, that's a total myth that, the appraisers are, no, they are not. They are very qualified appraisers and they're very good.
Exactly. I've seen some things as well, just on that point where, I have those going through, the process and, we can't pay for anything. And I'm like, oh, who says that? So I think one of the other kind of myths is that the vet can't pay for anything.
Well, and that is one of those myths that the sellers think, if I do a VA loan, I have to pay for everything. And that is not true. There are some specific things.
Right.
It's not a lot of money, and it's usually less than $1,000. So it's not something that should ever deter accepting the offer. And that doesn't necessarily have to be paid by the seller. It can be paid by the lender, it can be paid by the real estate agent. It just can't be paid by the veteran.
Right.
So that $1,000 cost should never get deferred an acceptance of a VA offer.
Exactly. And you'd be surprised, all depending on how things are structured with an offer. When I come in with a VA offer, most of the time you cannot distinguish it because I've said it. Yes, and I'm setting it up that way because I want full disclosure. But most of the time you will not know that it is. But then again, it's doing the work in the beginning, knowing that, okay, let me see this termite report if you have it. Let me look at this thing, and actually, as an agent, let me send this over to the lender, not necessarily to underwriting, but to the lender, saying, hey, look, this is what we're looking at. Can we foresee any problems or anything that we can kind of look at now before we actually write the offer? And so a lot of it's the pre-work, the pre-setup, just the pre-work that you do before even submitting the offer.
Absolutely.
And then that's one of the reasons why, too. If I know what's going on first, I know how to counteract it later on so that when we go in maybe a counteroffer situation, maybe it's a counter. Maybe they say, we like your offer, we counter you with this. I know what we can set up and what we can actually do.
Right.
And what I do know also as well, when working with a lender that knows kind of what the variance is, and it's a good one, you already know in this market when it is a multiple offer situation, sometimes you may have to go above and beyond what a value would be. But, if you have everything kind of worked in already ahead of time, you know what they can actually afford. And because they don't have 0% down, I always say, you know what? They're in a better position than some that actually do. Why? Because there's a certain amount that they can look at spending, that other people probably can't.
Right.
Because of the fact they're coming in with 0% down and barely any, closing costs.
And that's one of the things that we talk about when we make an offer. We contact the seller and we say, the selling agent, we explain to them, this isn't going to take any longer. These are our timelines. This is exactly how it's going to go. Here's what was going to happen, and we're going to close it in this time. Just to reassure them that this, even though we're using a home loan benefit versus a conventional jumbo or bank loan, it is still taken care of, and we will get it closed. And we give them that confidence, which is very, very important to get you into contract.
Exactly, and that's the whole point, successfully getting you into contract. So when we come back, it's kind of our last part of the segment. We're going to wrap everything up, give some more numbers and some more information, though. But of course, there's only so much you can do with a certain amount of time. But I hope, and I think it did, bless somebody, and for someone to get something out of what was said, and understanding that, hey, it's not as hard as you think. It really, really isn't, especially when you have the right people on your team for sure. So stay tuned. We're going to wrap everything up when we come back. Tamika Ellsworth, Faith in Home Buying, here with TJ Roberts, and we're equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Stay tuned. All right. So this is a small. That's not that
We're
bad.
jamming.
It's pretty easy,
No,
right?
no, it's pretty easy.
45 minutes or so went by like that, right?
All right, so our next piece you want to go through.
This is the
what
last.
part?
This is like about just 5 minutes. It's really
Okay.
just kind of a low. Unless you have something specific.
Well, you wanted to, we already talked about the no minimum loan, no maximum loan amount,
Mhm.
up to 100%.
Right.
So do you want to re-hit that one?
We can talk about. Yes, the no, the no limits.
I mean, I have a cute ending story. I've got my 67 and
Mm-hmm.
68-year-old first-time VA buyers that got into contract in the Villages, which I thought was just adorable.
Yeah, we can end it off with that. I'll give you about 2 minutes because it's only about 5 minutes, and then we're done.
Mhm.
So we can take 2 minutes in talking about that story, and then you can kind of give your information, and then I'll wrap it up. So
Okay.
just give me about 2 minutes, and then kind of we'll wrap
You just
it up.
hand it off to me when you want.
Yeah. Gotta get my number again.
That's right. I think that's part of your job.
I forget. All right, 5:50, Joel? 5:15. I don't know what to get 50 from. 5:45. All right, remember out there, got some questions, comments, concerns? Write them down. Write them down. All right, go ahead. Let's end this puppy. Let's land this plane. All right. So we're wrapping things up. This has been a great conversation. I mean, there's so much more. There's so much more to cover. But, hey, that's why we say call us.
That's right.
Call us. Myself, my number, 408-561-7922. Again, 408-561-7922. TJ's going to tell you a little story, because we've been talking about the whole, VA benefit and how important it is to have the right people on your team. TJ, wrap it up with a nice story, and then kind of give your contact information, because I love it when people work with you, and I love success stories.
And we always love getting people into homes. So I had a lovely lady reach out to me about a year before, and she was looking to buy by herself. And she decided, she was going to retire, so she didn't want to buy yet. So she was living in an apartment complex in Campbell, and she met a gentleman there. And so she was 68, and he was, I think, a younger man at 66 or 65. And the two of them started dating and decided they wanted to buy a house together.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very sweet. They had her 93-year-old mother living with them.
Wow.
And they ended up buying in the Villages using his VA benefit. They were able to buy the home with $0 down and be able to get into a home at a really low interest rate that was their payment was the same as their 2 apartments they were paying for.
Oh, wow, look at that.
The fun part about the story, it was before VA changed their guidelines, but the fun part was I had to condition for them to get married. So they did. They got married before they moved into closed the loan, and that was one of the conditions of the loan.
Aww.
That is now not required.
Right.
You can be with registered domestic
Good
partners.
to know. Mm-hmm.
And you have more flexibility. There are some restrictions to that, so please talk to a specialist if you have that type of circumstance. Normally, husband and wife is treated equally, and domestic partners are treated equally, but when you have other blends in there, other family members, you do lose some of your benefit and loan amount and down payment.
Mm-hmm.
But it is still now available. It's expanded, and I think that's, although telling someone to get married for a loan, I think is kind of cute,
Right. No, and I think, and TJ, how can someone reach out to you again that has some questions?
Well, for a good loan, call 408-802-8522, or reach out to me via email. I'm happy to answer any questions. tjroberts@prmg.net, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Oh, excellent, TJ. Thank you very much. And again, we can only cover so much at a certain time. But I honestly think that stories make it. I could talk about it all day. But hey, look, here's some stories about people that have actually done it. And hey, if you really wanted to, I can give you some numbers. I can give you some insight to some real folks that have went through the whole process. And and hopefully have them on too. And that's part of my goal with doing Faith in Home Buying, right? You're having not just hearing it from me, but you hear it from professionals. You hear it from actually people that have walked the process. And man, what better way to arise faith and to empower you is to hear the actual testimonies and stories, because the Bible does say, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, but not only that, but by the word of our testimony. And so how powerful is your story? Because no one can take that from you. No one can take the fact that, hey, I once thought this, but guess what? This is what happened, and guess what? I'm in my home now. That being said, I'm super excited for this year. One of the things that I'm trying to do is YouTube. What? I'm trying to get about 100 subscribers on there, and so far I don't have that many. So if you can catch me, Tamika Ellsworth. That's whether it be my website, TamikaEllsworth.com, and that's ELLS as in Sam, WORTH. That's me. You can Google me, Tamika Ellsworth, and that's TAMIKA. Okay, not the E. Don't do that. TAMIKA. You can catch me on Google, but you can catch me on Instagram. You can catch me on Facebook. Again, using Tamika Ellsworth. Pretty simple. I made it simple for the people. I made it simple for everyone to get in contact with me. But if you can catch me on YouTube, please subscribe. I have a lot of things on there, not just here with the K-Fax podcast, which I absolutely love and adore, but also on TV, American Dream Television. It streams every Thursday at 7, and I do have some episodes that are up there as well on YouTube, which I think will bless your socks off. But other than that, I thank everyone so much. Again, TJ, thank you so much, and I can't wait to do some more deals together. And hopefully, I'll let you know about some workshops that we have coming up pretty soon, which we will do this year because we're long overdue for it. Other than that, again, this is Tamika Ellsworth, and I'm so happy for 2020 because, I'm equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Woohoo!
All right.
Great job.
Yay! Look, it usually just ends like when it's supposed to. It's so crazy.
Like it knew?
Yeah, like it knows. It's all the time. I look up, done. Boo! Bye, everybody.